welcome to the American Sports Connection. I am your host, the one and only Joey Railroads, and I have a very special guest with me tonight. I have the Villanova Casanova, the King of Prussia, CZW Dojo Wars, Kit Osbourne. Kit, how are you doing this evening?
Hey, Joey, I'm doing fantastic, man.
That's great to hear, especially in this freaking cold.
Yeah, today it's beautiful, like 10 degrees outside.
Yeah, you're not kidding, dude. Oh. Now,
yeah, I can't handle it.
You and me both. Now, what I was going to ask you was, when I was growing up as a kid, I was a Hogan mark. That's what got me into wrestling, like WrestleMania 5. It was in Atlantic City. And then I got really hooked. It was, I'm going to date myself here, when Earthquake beat up Hogan and they wheeled him out on the stretcher. And my dad actually took me to SummerSlam in Philly in like 1990. My question is, were you a fan growing up? And if you were, do you remember like one specific thing that you got you like, oh, this is my shit?
Yeah, you already dated yourself when you said you were a Hogan mark. I mean, But when I was always a fan when I was a kid. I actually started watching when I was 4, and that was 1994. Not bragging. And the first guy I always watched, that first made a big impression on me was Shawn Michaels. If you couldn't tell.
No, not at all.
So it was Shawn, and watching him, and then when he finally got his title run in '96, from WrestleMania 12, like I was hooked onto it, and that was that's the guy that I watched throughout the whole all the years that he's been in the business, and I obviously emulated it to a degree at some points, but it wasn't until probably I started training to whereas this would be pretty hard to believe, but probably my second favorite wrestler, the guy that I could watch just as much as I watch Shawn, who is the complete opposite of who I am in every degree, in every manner, and it's Stan Hansen.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah,
I have nothing in common with Stan Hansen at all. We're talking like the guy is a giant, the way the guy, guy's from like Texas or something, the guy is complete opposite of who I am, but I would watch him and I'd be like, man, I love the way that guy is. Like, the way that guy would just, would walk around and talk and perform in the ring. Like, that guy is just so cool. And there's nothing I could do that would be anything close to Stan Hansen. He's like twice my size. I met him in April. And I was like, hey, man, nice to meet you. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy's a giant. Just engulfed my hand. He didn't even mean to.
I bet. Was he a nice dude? Like, was he friendly?
Yeah, he was a nice guy and everything like that. I just said, hey, man, I really liked everything you did, blah, blah, blah. And he was just like, oh, well, thanks, man. Well, he was probably like over it, at that point. He doesn't care. But, he was a really cool dude to be able to, like, meet and, get a picture with. Still being a fan. I'm always going to be a fan,
Hell yeah, dude. Now, you mentioned your training. Now, you were trained by Drew Gulak and DJ, correct?
Yeah, I tried out for, before a CZW show in 2007. DJ was the head trainer there, and Xandig still owned CZW at the time. And I went in, and it was just, Drew was one of the first guys I ever met, and he was just like, we got your cardio up, kid. And I'm like, great, thanks. I didn't. And, it was like, do 1,000 squats, and then you get in the ring, and then at that point your legs are jello, and then they're just trying to blow you up and whatnot. But DJ is my head trainer, and then Drew, with less than a year, was fully involved, and he was in the same the same level as DJ. So it was both of them, teaching me many different things. And both of them together, obviously are very different, different minds in the business. And they both can teach you two different things. And not that, there's no wrong answer in wrestling. DJ has a different perspective to Drew's perspective. So you're kind of getting like the best of both worlds.
Right. I was going to say, it's funny you mentioned Stan Hansen, and then DJ was your trainer because he could throw a lariat pretty nasty too.
Yeah, he'll take your head off. I've taken that lariat, and I definitely would not like to take that one again.
I can only imagine, dude. Now, Babs in our chat wants to know, she said, do you prefer wrestling singles or the tag six-mans that you've been recently doing with Dell and Tahir James?
Well, Tahir James and Mike Dell are the best. Mike Dell, as I've said, is one of my best friends. Tahir, I just getting to know. I really enjoyed those three-mans. It's kind of like directing. You saw me on, that Saturday Mega Event 3, and I was basically directing those two to do what we needed to do to come up with a win. And what happened was not that. But to be honest, I prefer like the one-on-one matches. I like to be able to control the entire match. I knew what I have to do to win, and I know what to do to obviously take advantage of the opposition. So yeah, I would say a singles match, one-on-one is my favorite.
Okay, well that's cool. Now, do you have a favorite opponent you've had, since you've been in the business?
My favorite that I've got to work with, I would say it's the retired Nico Sozio. He's always been my favorite. He's one of my best friends I've ever met out of wrestling. Him and I talk all the time. But working wise, I always liked working with him. We kind of both got the same idea, of what we think wrestling is. But he was one of the greatest opponents, I think. The man's a WWE, Jesus, a CZW champion, right? Just 2 years ago, and now he's a dad.
Yeah, I saw his tweet.
God.
Because he wrote, for those that didn't see it, he was like, 2 years ago, I was defending the world title inside the cage of death. Now I'm in bed at 10:30.
Yeah, that's him. I'll send him a text. I'm like, hey, dude, did you see that? He's like, dude, man, I'm in bed. And he wakes me up at like 7 in the morning to send me a text like back, like, hey, dude, you up? And I'm like, no, are you kidding me? I don't have to take care of a kid.
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick funny story about Sozio. In his last match when he wrestled, at the dojo, when he wrestled Blackwater, me and my son were outside, and he goes, hey, come here for a second. He's like, I want you to feel something so you know wrestling is real. I said, okay. So he grabs my hand, and he takes it, and he puts it on the back of his head where he had this huge knot from where Blackwater hit him with the Singapore cane.
Yeah, Blackwater is definitely not somebody I would want to wrestle at CZW or the Dojo Wars.
So I always, he let my son feel it, so I said, see? I was like, that's real, man. You felt it.
God. Blackwater is definitely a dangerous demon in that ring. He definitely doesn't. It's funny. I see him out there, and I'm like, man, that guy definitely deserves to have beaten Frankie Picard. But I think I'll let him have this one. I thought I could get that. I thought that I would be, I'd win that Medal of Valor off of Frankie. And now that Blackwater has it, I just go, it's not that big of a deal.
It's not so bad.
There's bigger fish to fry.
Absolutely. Now, your style in the ring, did you took it after Shawn Michaels, like the cruiserweight kind of style?
Well, I don't know. I didn't necessarily take it off of Shawn or anything. I think I just whatever was more comfortable to me is what over the past 8 years that I've just developed that I thought this is how I'm the most comfortable in the ring, and this is how I think that I can do the most damage. You know, come on, I'm not like I'm not the I'm not one to do a lot of flips in the ring, and I think that it's a kind of a big waste of energy. I So I mean, yeah, right now obviously I have Mike Dell, and then to have my back with a lot of different things that I do, but for the most part, I think the way that I perform in the ring is just, you know, if I need to hit you once, I'm going to hit you once. I'm not going to hit you more than that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Plus, you know, I need to bring my cardio level up a little bit. So, God, if I hit you more than once, then, you know, I'm going to have to take a breather myself.
You got to pace yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You know, maybe I should hit that the treadmill a couple more times.
Or one of those ellipticals. That's the one I use.
Yeah, the elliptical. I don't need to hurt my knee or anything.
Now, is there like a dream match for you that like one person you're like, oh my god, like that's the guy I really want to get in the ring with?
I mean, are they and they're still working now, or are they?
Just anybody, alive or dead.
Alive or dead? Jeez. Well, I mean, of course, Sean. You know, we've talked about him enough that I mean, it's obvious that it would be Sean. I don't think I would ever, in a million years, want to get in the ring with Stan Hansen. I think I know better than that. That guy can barely see. But I think if we were to talk about now, man, who now do I really like? Man, it's a tough one. You know what? I started watching him a little bit more now than I ever did before, and it's Randy Orton. And I know it's kind of a name that a lot of people you hear it a lot, but I never really liked Randy Orton that much.
Hey, you're
before.
preaching to the choir.
Yeah, and it's like only now do I really like how he works in the ring, and I just see how you know how he performs, and I just go, man, like I just see nothing but magic, and so if I could, it would be him.
It's funny you mention him because I really like his in-ring work, but his character is just like blah to me. But like
now
it's really interesting.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, I never would have thought he'd be with Bray Wyatt at all. I'm like, what? And I'm watching SmackDown more now than I did before. I guess like their whole concept, you know, is a lot different than it was. But I'm watching him there now, and I'm going, man, this is really entertaining. I guess what did he do that he joined him? He goes, you know, if you can't beat him, join him. You know, he just did it, and I'm like, man, he is perfect for them.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and I've told people this before. The Wyatts were the reason I stopped watching wrestling for about 5 years, and then the Wyatts were the reason I started watching again, because they were just so different than anything that was, you know, there at the time.
It's true. It was like a big shock. I mean, they're a character, is what they are. You know, that's what I like about wrestling is they're a little bit out of the box. You know, they're not generic wrestler number 4, you know, and that's what I think is interesting in wrestling. That's what makes it different. And I mean, obviously, that's what makes it an entertainment, not just a sport. So I love the Wyatt family and like how they and their whole entire presence in the WWE.
No, I absolutely agree with you. Now, it's funny we mentioned that. I wanted to ask you, because not a lot of people know this unless they're big CZW fans. There are a lot of guys in bigger promotions like TNA, Ring of Honor, WWE that have, you know, did their time in CZW. So it's almost like CZW's, I don't want to say a feeder system, but you know what I mean. Like it's you go from CZW and then kind of take that next step. So like, how cool is that for you to see like all these guys that have kind of come through there and where they're at now?
Well, it is. It's awesome. I mean, number one, I mean, you see guys like Dean Ambrose, who was a WWE champion, and that guy, just 3 years ago, right, like 3 or 4 years ago, was in the main event of like a Cage of Death, and you're like man.
Like I said, when he was WWE champion, it's almost like he was the king of wrestling.
Yeah, he's done it all. I mean, it is amazing. Like when we're in the back. If you're in the back and you see them, you're like, man, that guy was in CZW, that guy was in CZW, that guy was, and it's like, man, oh my god. It's not like how you said, it's not like they just specifically go to CZW and then they go to WWE. It's just that obviously it's no lie that WWE is the top of the game. That's where everybody wants to be, or at least the majority of people want to be. I mean, that's where I would want to be. I mean, everything is. You make a name for yourself in WWE, but you have to start in areas around the country, and then you make your way into CZW or Ring of Honor or Evolve or something, and then you get a look from WWE, and then next thing you know, you're on their roster. I mean, look at somebody like Drew Gulak. Drew's on there. I was talking with him this week. I was with him in the past 2 days, and it's just amazing. I go, man, like, is this not just like amazing for you? Like you see him in the ring, in a WWE ring, and you just go, man, 6 months ago, I just saw you at the Flyer Skate Zone in Voorhees. Like it blows my mind. As not just a fan, not just a fan, but like just as his friend.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I was like, when I went to Raw this week, you see him come out, and I'm like, dude, I just saw you and your brother wrestle in like Eddystone in like October.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it shows that. I mean, obviously, Drew is one of the hardest working wrestlers I've ever met. It's truly an honor to be able to, for him to be one of my trainers, but and to call him one of my friends. But it's amazing to see that somebody like him get into WWE and make a name for himself.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was going to ask you. You were in a segment on Monday Night Raw, and then you've had a busy week. Saturday
yeah,
night,
a little bit.
Well, not Saturday night, more Saturday afternoon. You were wrestling at the Flyer Skate Zone for the mega event, and then you're at the Wells Fargo Center on Monday. Like, how crazy is that? Because you had a lot of your Dojo Wars people that from like past and present there with you.
Yeah. Well, it was. I did give that some thought. I mean, Wednesday I had, there was Dojo Wars, and then Saturday was the Mega Event 3, and then next thing you know, like, there's Sunday passes, and then Monday I'm getting up early, and I'm driving down to the Wells Fargo Center where the Flyers and the Sixers play, and I'm going in through the backstage just to go to, be an extra for WWE. I mean, that alone, even just being an extra, is like a humbling experience. You have no idea what to expect. You have no idea what you're doing. It's just sky's the limit, and you go in there, and then first of all, I didn't realize that fans were going to be waiting at like 12 o'clock, where the backstage is, to meet superstars going in there. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's freezing out here, number one, and the show's not for another 9 hours. All right, guys, go inside for a little bit. But anyway, so we're going inside, and you have no idea what you're doing, and you're like, we didn't even know the segment that we were going to be doing until maybe an hour before, that particular segment. And,
wow.
Yeah, we had no idea. And we're in there, and we're just kind of sitting around by ringside. I was talking to a lot of different guys. One of them was Bob Backlund, who I was talking to for like a good amount of time, and who is awesome, by the way. He is just so much knowledge, and he was just telling us a couple stories, and I wound up talking to him. Probably the most friendly guy I met the entire 2 days. And then it comes time, we're just hanging out by ringside, we're in our gear or whatever, and we're just just hanging around, and then next thing you know, we have we're getting ready for this segment. We're like, hey, make sure you wear for, act like you're going to a party, and then come and meet us in this area. And then we meet him, and then next thing you know, there's Triple H. I call him Paul. and, and I'm kidding. And he's just like directing us, and the writer had this idea, or producer had this idea for the segment, and then he would put in, what he envisioned, and we did it. We did it a few times, and it went through. It went really awesome. Stephanie comes in. We're talking to her, and it was just everybody there is like upbeat, and like we're just having like a great time. Like let's make this magic. And I'm like, I want to be a part of this all the time. This was so awesome. Like as in, not just because of being part of WWE and in this segment that was really fun, but just like everybody there and everybody in the WWE is just kind of happy to be there, and there's no negativity there. I'm like, man, I don't worry about the problems I have outside, because I'm in here, and this is where this is work, and everybody's having a great time. So we had that segment with Stephanie McMahon. She got soaked with champagne, and I got soaked with champagne, and then those bootios and whatever, and it all just went through really well. It was live on TV, and it was great. And then later on, we just watched the match, and the next thing you know, we're getting thanked by everybody, and then it's on to SmackDown the next day. And
that's awesome.
And that was it.
You'll never forget bootios now.
Yeah, never. I might have to buy myself a box.
Shoot, at that price, man. Whew.
Yeah, maybe not.
But I can't imagine how cool it would be just because you had Rory, Drew's brother there, Brittany Blake, and I'm forgetting somebody, Maria Manic.
Yeah, Maria Manic was there. It made it a little bit easier. Obviously, I mean, just because how would you react if it was just you and nobody else that you knew was there, and you're going to be an extra, and you're trying to like stick out from the rest and whatnot? I mean, it's scary. You don't know who to talk to. You don't know how to talk to them. It's your first time, there. But with all of them there, and then I also that Drew is on Raw. It made it a little bit easier to continue on. Especially like Rory and I have known each other forever, and Brittany being there, working in Dojo Wars is great. And Maria Manic, who's new, obviously she was probably a lot more nervous than most. But it seemed that it worked itself out. It worked itself out really well to benefit all of us.
I just think, Kit, that it's really cool that WWE does that for like local talents when they come to whatever town they're in. Like that's, they don't have to do that.
Well, no, they don't. I mean, at the same time, they do that to see, hey, maybe somebody might stick out from the rest. The way that I guess they find people is obviously through word of mouth, but the other is, through their recruiter's site. I made a profile on there, and I sent my stuff in, and I update it, from time to time, and I finally got that, that email, and when I got that, I got that email, it's like, well, I guess it's all worth it, like, us as independent talent, all we want is to be there. That's obviously why we made those, that recruiter site, but you never really expect to get that call, which is, like even me, I mean, I've been doing this for a little while now, and you get that call, and you're just like, this isn't real. Like, you don't want me to be an extra. This is probably somebody just messing with me.
Yeah, it's like a pinch me kind of moment.
Yeah. But we get in there, and it's a chance for them to, I guess, see the outside talent that they may or may not know. They might just like our look, but we might not have any idea how to wrestle in the ring or whatnot. I mean, they usually, I guess, from time to time, they have like tryouts, get a chance to get in the ring. Let's see what this guy's got, and then maybe they like it, and then maybe they come up with an idea based on that from seeing them work. So, I think with Monday Night Raw, and then that there's the 205 Live thing. There's a little less time for them to look at a lot of extra talent.
Yeah.
Compared to how they used to. On Tuesday, I didn't really do anything just because they had some 205 Live guys, and then they also had the Tribute with the Troops, and then they had SmackDown. So it was hey, I guess we may or may not use you guys, but you're just hanging out just in case. And you're like, maybe they'll see me and they might use me for something. You never know.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, so it's always different every time. Obviously, they're not going to do the same segment twice.
No. All right.
At least not for a few years.
Yeah, we'll give them a couple years because I think they seem to think sometimes us as wrestling fans, not you specifically, but us wrestling fans, that we have a short memory.
Hey man, I'm right there with you. If you think I know what I'm doing, you're crazy.
All right, now, what does the future hold for Kit Osbourne?
Well, since I worked Monday Night Raw, no, not bragging, I'll probably have to say that, WrestleMania is on the way, so I'll probably be working Hulk Hogan. I hear he's coming back, so I'll probably be working Hogan versus Kit Osbourne at WrestleMania 33, right?
Yeah, in Orlando.
Yeah. So that's probably what I'm predicting. I could be wrong, but more likely I'm right. So I'm gonna say Hogan versus Kit Osbourne at WrestleMania 33 in Orlando.
And like a certain someone we both know would say, "Be there."
Yeah. We know who that is. Another Hogan, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what future holds for me. Right now, I'm just doing my thing. I know that this coming Saturday, I'll be at BWO in Egg Harbor, New Jersey, for Preachers. Preachers having a show. So if anybody is around, it's one. I think it's one exit before Atlantic City. So you can make a day out of it and then have a night, you spend some money seeing me wrestle and then go right to Atlantic City and win that money right back.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is. So that's what I got going on. And then, and then there's obviously Dojo Wars every Wednesday. Check it out on YouTube. It's the Dojo Wars on YouTube. It's not hard to find. And CZW Dojo Wars on Twitter.
Yeah, that sounds good. I forgot to tell you this. After last night, because we went to the dojo, I had been to 5 wrestling shows in 8 days.
Jesus Christ. That's too much wrestling for me, man.
Yeah, I was like, that's crazy when I thought about it.
5 in 8 days.
Yeah, well, we went to Raw because it's my kid's birthday coming up in 3 weeks, and that was like the really big thing he wanted. He was the one that pointed you out on the Jumbotron. We're sitting there, and he's like, wait a minute, I think that's Kit. And then he's like, and then that's Maria Manic, and that's, he knew them all.
Yeah. Oh man, it was definitely way too much fun to do that. I would do that anytime, I would do that every Monday if I could, but it was definitely one experience I'll probably never ever forget. And then when you ask me about it next week, I'll be like, oh, I don't remember that. I forgot all about it. Yeah.
All right. Now, if anybody wants to get a hold of you on social media, how can they reach you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook, just under Kit Osbourne. And the way you spell Osbourne, which so many people seem to have trouble, but it's Kit, K-I-T, just like the car, and it's Osbourne, like Ozzy Osbourne, O-S-B-O-U-R-N-E, and then on Twitter, just at Kit Osbourne on Twitter.
There you go. I could see where a lot of people would spell it wrong.
Yeah, I probably, I made it the most difficult. Who would have thought?
All right, everybody, we're going to get out of here for tonight. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, thumbs up, all that good shit. And we'll see you back next time. Have a good night, everybody.